83 is brought to you by a CBC Sports presentation. CFL 83. The very best in professional football entertainment. Along with the game, we'll bring you complete news, highlights, and features from the Canadian Football League. And now, for all the action, we go to the stadium and our CBC Sports crew.
Today, first place is on the line as the Eskimos meet the BC Lions. For the Eskimos, a first chance to play football indoors. We're live from the stadium at BC Place. And we take you back to Edmonton, Commonwealth Stadium, August 12th. The first meeting of these two teams that day belonged to the BC Lions. Warren Moon threw 4 interceptions. Roy DeWalt had a terrific day in leading the BC Lions to a 43-13 victory. That was August, and we're almost to October. The Eskimos look very different when the playoffs draw near. Today, two teams share top spot in the Western Division following that Winnipeg win over Saskatchewan. An Eskimo win, and it's a 3-way tie for the top. A Lion victory, and the Eskimos are scrambling for third following Calgary's upset victory over Toronto. And today in Vancouver, 2 outstanding quarterbacks. Roy DeWalt of the BC Lions, Warren Moon of the Edmonton Eskimos. Leo Cahill is with me and has both quarterbacks standing by.
Well, thank you, John. Warren Moon, 2 questions, my friend. First, are the Eskies really back to Grey Cup form? And secondly, how much does playing against your old coach, Donnie Matthews, affect a game like this? Things a lot tougher for you.
Well, I think we're certainly playing a lot better right now than we did the first half of the season. I think part of that is because of the coaching change that we just made, and the other part is I think our team just knows deep down inside we can't afford to lose any more ball games, and we're better than we were playing in the first half of the season, and I think we're just starting to show those things right now. Playing against Coach Matthews is tough because he was with us for 6 or 7 years, and he knows, the things I like to do offensively, because we talked a lot, during his years there, and I'm sure he's going to try and put the heat on me because I'm sure he feels that any quarterback, if you put heat under him and make him throw the ball before he wants to, he's not going to be as successful. So my job today is going to have to be alert to the things that they're giving us as far as blitzes and different coverages. And if I'm alert to picking up those things and our linemen and backs are alert to picking up the blitzes, then I should have pretty good time to complete passes.
Roy DeWalt is getting back on the winning track last week against the Concord, got the team over that BC midseason slump people talk about, or is that just all talk?
Well, I would like to think that we are over the slump and is ready to play real good football. The loss to Toronto really set us back a little bit, and everyone's saying, okay, here we go. They're going into that midseason slump. Well, I hope that's not the case, and with the win over Montreal last week, hopefully that would get us where we need to be and win some ball games, win the West ball games, as a matter of fact, and keep us in first place. And that's what we're hoping to do this evening.
Okay, thanks an awful lot.
Good job, Leo. The Eskimos and the Lions, first place on the line. The kickoff from BC Place follows right after this. I don't think there's any doubt about it for both of these teams. This is the game of the season. Don Matthews, BC Lions at 7-3. The Eskimos under Jackie Parker now standing at 6-4 after 10 games. I'm John Wells with Leo Cahill, and it's easy to get excited about this football afternoon from the stadium at BC Place. And Johnny Pasaglia will kick it off, Leo.
John, both of those coaches look like they're tighter than Ned's hat band. They're getting ready for this game in fine fashion.
Good return for the Eskimos, almost to the 35, but they lose the ball. The Lions say they have recovered.
Well, it must have been a question where he let the ball go and they just touched it just before it went out of bounds, but it was a great job of recovering. And now they've got the field position and the all-important first turnover of this ball game. You see Joe taking the ball up here, and he veers to the outside and picks up some blockers, makes a nice return out of it, and runs right over. There's Hayes making a block, and he runs right over Bird and goes to the sidelines, loses the ball, and you see the ball bounce, and he just touches it before it goes out.
That was rookie Ryan Potter, number 33. And this is Roy DeWalt some trouble on the BC Lions' first offensive sequence. Eskimos all around. Dale Potter and David Fennell were there.
Well, it was a big play there by the BC Lions, recovering the play, or recovering that ball on the sidelines. But now you see DeWalt rolling out to his right here, and here comes the pressure. They've got the whole defensive line on top of them right here. Get the ball back, and there's a turnabout there now in terms of breaks and in terms of emotion. They've both made two big plays there.
A 9-yard loss for Roy DeWalt and the BC Lions. This is 2nd and 19. Lions at the Eskimo 47. DeWalt looking long for Green. Flags are down.
The way the referee is indicating, it looks like it's against the defense, but it looked at the time like it could have been against either one.
Double coverage on Green that time.
They've got the formation to the left there, all the strength to the left, and Roy just gets back and throws that ball down the field, tries to get it to Green, and they say Hayes has interfered with him, number 28.
First down, Lions inside the Edmonton 6.
So look where the BC Lions are now.
As we talked about, John, this first important score means an awful lot, especially with this hometown crowd.
First down, Lions. The Eskimo 15. Time for Roy DeWalt. It closes up quickly. DeWalt slides into about the 8-yard line.
I don't know that we could get another picture of that, but Green broke open, wide open in the end zone, and DeWalt had time when he got to that line of scrimmage. You see, he comes back here, he looks, and then he makes up his mind, I think, that he's going to run. And in the meantime, Green comes wide open in the end zone, nobody near him, and he just takes a short gain instead of a touchdown. He's got to be, he's a veteran quarterback now, he's got to be able to look downfield before he crosses that line of scrimmage, John, and throw that ball for that big score.
For Roy DeWalt, a pickup of 7 yards. Don Matthews anxious on the sidelines. Here for a 2nd down and 3 situation for his BC Lions.
That's where that Edmonton Eskimo defense gets real tough down in here.
DeWalt to the end zone. Man wide open. Touchdown. John Pankratz.
Well, Pankratz came from the right again and ran that crossing pattern that they've had so much success with, and he got so wide open that I've got to believe that somebody blew their coverage on this. You see number 18, Mike McLeod, throw his hands up in the air as much as to say, hey, you're supposed to have that guy.
For John Pankratz, his 7th touchdown catch this season. And Lou Pasaglia.
And that's not a boo, that's a Lou.
Pasaglia puts it through. So just 2 minutes and 29 seconds into this football afternoon in British Columbia, the Lions take advantage of a big Eskimo turnover and score first. Lots more ahead. Keith Parker unbeaten in his return to Canadian football, but he's down 7-0 to the BC Lions early in the opening quarter at BC Place. Parker won his first 2 outings, defeating the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Saskatchewan Roughriders after taking over from the first coach of the Eskimos this season, Pete Catella.
We'll get another look at this here as DeWalt just rolls to his left, and as I said before, Pankratz came across and someone blew the coverage. McLeod had both hands up in the air in disgust, as much as to say either I blew the coverage or somebody over on that other side blew it, but Pankratz got it wide open for the touchdown.
There are changes in that Eskimo secondary with Ed Jones on the sidelines. Emilio Frietta and Jerry Phillip are sharing the duties back there in relief of Jones. This is Gary Hayes. First kickoff hurt the Eskimos. Hayes hangs on at the 35. Konar 31, Glenn Jackson 37 led the BC tacklers that time.
Well, both of these teams are very exciting teams, and they're both in this ball game, and they're not going to give any quarter. I think it's interesting to point out at this point right here, John, before they start their offense, that Kelly is just going into that ball game last night with the Argos, with just 223 yards behind Greer over there in Toronto.
First down Eskimos, their own 35. Warren Moon unloads, it's picked out. This is Kerry Parker.
maybe the key to this whole thing was Warren being a little bit concerned that they were going to go after him before the game there, but he drills the ball in there, and it's intended in there for Waddell Smith, but it was tipped. Parker picks it up, and they've got the ball again in fine field position.
2 turnovers by the Eskimos in the opening 3 minutes of this football game. Look where the Lions are now with a first down just across the 50-yard line in Eskimo territory. This is Sammy Green. He'll score.
Just a handoff back to Green, and he just uses that exceptional speed to the outside. You'll see Fernandez come down here, screen someone, stay on his feet. All Green does is just use his blocking, go against the flow, and go in for the touchdown. And here, you know, just in the early part of this ball game, the score is going to be 14-0 if they can just make this extra point.
A 48-yard touchdown play by Sammy Green. 2 turnovers by the Eskimos. 2 touchdowns by the BC Lions. It's 14-0, folks.
Well, they've said all along that this guy can run a hole in the wind, and you saw him on that play. He took that ball, came back, and he just outran most of the interior defense that were in pursuit. Just a great job by Sammy Green.
Warren Moon had interception problems against the BC Lions 5 weeks ago at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. His first pass this afternoon picked off by Kerry Parker. And a fumble on the opening kickoff by Joe Holloman. Also a turnover to the BC Lions. And that's what we have right now. 11 minutes, 32 seconds to play in the opening quarter. And the Lions are out in front by 2 touchdowns.
And what a shocker. You might say that this was an upset in the making right here, because I think most people expected Edmonton to win this football game. But there's been a lot of upsets on this weekend.
Seen a lot of upsets this weekend in Canadian football, Leo.
Well, nobody could have ever told me that Calgary could have gone in there and did what they did last night. Jack Goode and his staff deserve an awful lot of credit.
Stampeders 49-20 over the Toronto Argonauts, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 50-19 over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And earlier today, the Ottawa Roughriders 29-25 over the Hamilton Tiger Cats, led by Dieter Brock. Eskimos' second offensive sequence begins from their 22. And Moon floated that one. Nobody was near.
Well, Moon is too good a quarterback to just go in the tank and just get too nervous, so he'll settle down here. But the important thing as far as the BC Lions are concerned is that they've got that 14 points on the board before he's really adjusted and settled down. And as I pointed out before, the tip-off, I think, was that in counter to my question, where I asked him about playing against Donnie Smith, he was very concerned about Smith sending a lot of people at him. And that concern has manifested itself a little bit in the early part of this ball game.
2nd and 10 Eskimos from their own 23. Moon to the far side for Brian Fryer. Nelson Martin was covering, and Fryer was close to the first down. An important spot for the Eskimos here. Right out where the referee, John Ireland, actually puts the football back into play.
Well, it looks like it's almost a yard away as we see Moon come back and hit Fryer on just that simple bend-out pattern right there. And a good job there by Martin, keeping him from getting that first down yardage.
They give Brian Fryer a 9-yard gain. And this will be 3rd down and 1.
Well, a lot could be established on this one play right here, because they've got almost a full yard to go. If they get stopped right here, they could be in a lot of trouble.
The Eskimos go gambling. Early in the opening quarter, it would appear they have the first down.
That's the advantage of having that Moon in there at quarterback. I stood alongside him yesterday in practice, and he had cowboy boots on, John, but boy, he looked to me like he was about 6'5".
You know, Warren Moon may just have the perfect build to be a quarterback. He has got size, stature, speed,
intelligence. He's got the whole thing. He's got the whole package, and I'm not too sure, in spite of what's happened out here already this afternoon, I'm not too sure he's not the best quarterback in North America.
No question he's the best pure passing quarterback in Canadian football at this time, but he's having problems today. Picked off again. Gets the second interception of the afternoon from Warren Moon.
Well, JoJo Heath said a week ago that if they want to win the ball game, they better not throw in my direction. Right there, he come up with a big interception. It was intended for the favorite target of Warren Moon, Brian Kelly. But he's got... We'll have to listen to the referee right here. It looked like a clip.
Clip. BC number 64. First down.
That's newcomer Jonathan Craver, 64 for the BC Lions. You might see it here.
Kelly just made a little bend-down pattern right there, and Heath playing his inside to keep him from getting to the inside. Saw the flight of the ball in the air and just went right to it and took it away from Kelly.
Still, the Lions will take the field position in spite of the penalty with another first down for BC. This is John Henry White. Dale Potter saved the touchdown.
Just a little dump-off pass right there in the middle to John Henry White, and he picks up his blockers, and I thought he had it made right here. There's a good block there by Sammy Green, but an exceptional play in there by Potter, coming in behind the blockers, making the tackle from the blind side, and it looks like John Henry White may be hurt. That would be a real blow for the BC Lions.
John Henry White missed the last two Lion football games. He was injured in Ottawa 3 weeks ago and didn't play much against the Rough Riders. If you look at the BC Lions' success in the last 3 weeks, that's been one of the problems they've had, is moving the football, and John Henry White was sorely missed. 3 games from CBC Television Sports in Week 13 of Canadian football next Saturday. Viewers in Manitoba and Northern Ontario will see the first meeting between Dieter Brock and Tom Clements in their new uniforms, Winnipeg and Hamilton. Manitoba viewers then join the national network for Ottawa at Saskatchewan. Then on Sunday, Toronto at Montreal from Olympic Stadium, and great CFL action next weekend, Week 13 in Canadian football. Brian Potter, number 33, replacing John Henry White as he heads to the sideline. He looks like he'll be back, however. First down, goal to go, BC Lions at the Eskimos 7. Pressure from the Eskimos and fired for Fernandez. He was well off the mark. Frietta, number 37 for the Eskimos, applying some pressure on Roy DeWalt that time. Flags were down.
Well, the important thing on that play was that Roy DeWalt got the ball off and didn't. There you see Hayes with Green all the way down the field, and there's a little bit of jostling going around there. I think both of them had hands on each other. It was just about a saw-off as to who was interfering with who.
Second and goal from the 7. Larry Jones stops short of the touchdown. He's inside the 5. Frietta was there, and so was 64, David Boone. Will they go for it?
Well, you know, I can't understand why fans would boo right here. They've got 2.5 full yards, maybe 3 yards to go for a touchdown. They've got a chance to get 3 sure points with Lou Pasaglia kicking the football. Take those 3 points and don't take a chance on not getting them. Points are very important at this stage, especially when they got 14 to the good right now.
8 minutes, 17 seconds to play in quarter 1. The BC Lions leading the Eskimos 14-0. Louis Pasaglia will try a field goal from the 10. There. So look at the Lion total now. Still lots of time to play in the opening quarter. The BC Lions out in front of the Eskimos, 17-0. We move to the final week of Major League Baseball with 2 games from CBC Television Sports. Wednesday, the Expos and the Cardinals from St. Louis. Then Saturday, the Expos and the Mets. Expos needed a miracle this year, and it didn't quite come through. But Expo Baseball continues on CBC next week. First down for the Eskimos. Warren Moon has been intercepted twice this afternoon. He's only completed 1 pass. Scott Stout He met Jonathan Craver. For Scott Stout, a gain of 4 yards. It'll be 2nd and 6 for the Eskimos.
I think something significant to point out is that Moon, with 51 carries and 343 yards, is the leading ground gainer. Lumsden's behind at 211 yards. As the weather gets a little bit colder, they're going to need that running attack. Maybe this is going to hold back that Edmonton team just a trifle.
Second down, Eskimos. Moon has to get out of there. He has the first down. Moon across the 45. And in the grasp of Glenn Jackson, 37, an outstanding Canadian linebacker with the BC Lions for several seasons.
I think Warren Moon does this, along with Conridge Holloway, about as well as anybody does in the league, and that is stepping up to the inside. A lot of people can roll out and get to the outside when they're in trouble and outrun the pursuit, but these people have the amazing capacity to look up to the inside and see those seams open up and get a first down that way.
From their 46 now, first down Edmonton. That's Neil Lumsden, and Lumsden, a good gain almost to midfield, tripped up by Jonathan Craver. Lions are high on this young man, Craver, 6'4", 240 pounds, from James Madison University. His second game as a BC Lion. For Lumsden, a gain of 7. This is 2nd and 3. Once more, the first down into the 45-yard line. Glenn Jackson with Lumsden that time.
And you know what Warren Moon has done here, John? He's done what only a seasoned quarterback can do, and that's be very, very patient. Run the ball a couple times, throw the short pass like he does here to Lumsden, and keep the ball moving until he gets his team settled down after the initial shock of that 17 points. But he's doing just exactly what he should do. He's got plenty of time to get him back in this ball game. He knows it.
First down, Eskimos. They trail by 17. Moon, time to throw once more. Kelly is the target. He makes the catch, but he's out of bounds. Good coverage on Kelly by Martin and Heath.
I'll tell you, Bird wasn't far away either. They had 3 people in the vicinity of that ball as soon as it got in the air. They know where Kelly is.
Yesterday, Don Matthews indicated Kelly would get special attention.
He goes down the field there, and he just hasn't got enough room to the sidelines there to catch the ball and keep 1 foot in. But he does catch it.
So it's 2nd and 10 Eskimos from the BC 46. Lots of room for Moon to run, and he has the first down single-handedly. Kerry Parker led the BC tacklers that time. The one thing the Eskimos were not saying too much about was an injury that Warren Moon suffered last week. Apparently it's somewhat similar to tennis elbow, and he had his right arm, his throwing arm, in ice much of the week.
He may have a tennis elbow, but Warren Moon is a great component of give the ball to the best halfback, let him run with it. If that doesn't work, go to your best receiver. If that doesn't work, I'll get it myself. You got another first down.
Give it to your best back and run it yourself.
Yes.
First down. This is Neil Lumsden. Lumsden getting a lot of work today. Rick Clausen, number 60 for the Lions, led the tacklers that time. On the sidelines, CFL Hall of Famer Jackie Parker, coaching his 3rd game for the Edmonton Eskimos.
That big number 66 that you saw standing on the sidelines there is another defensive tackle. He was the outstanding performer in that first game that he played. His name is Hunter. That's a great name for a defensive player, Hunter.
He had an outstanding debut last week.
His first name ought to be Hill.
Tommy Scott has the catch. Scott out at the 8-yard line. So the Eskimos are on their way back. Melvin Bird beaten by Scott that time.
See Moon going back, and Scott, old reliable, goes down and just bends to the sidelines right there, beats the competition, and turns for the field to try to get it in the end zone there, and gets it down to about the 8-yard line. And Moon is doing just exactly what he has to do now.
If there's one change the Eskimos have made offensively, it's going to the inside receivers like Scott and Fryer since Parker took over. a touchdown. Slightly off target, JoJo Heath almost hit his second of the day.
I think JoJo Heath didn't see the ball coming, and if he had seen the ball, we'll see it once more right here. And Moon throws it, and he throws it in harm's way. Look at JoJo Heath right there. By golly, he did see the ball. He just missed it. But he had an open sideline to go all the way down that sideline, so he would have got that one.
So it's second down and goal to go Eskimos at the BC 8. Nowhere to go for Warren Moon. Finally, he looks to the end zone, throws it deep. Nelson Martin tipped that football and almost came free for 77 Brian Pryor.
Well, you see Donnie Matthews, the BC coach, breathe a sigh of relief. Moon goes back. He gets plenty of time here to throw the football, rolls out to his right. Everybody's covered, looks back to his left, looks back to his right again, and then instead of taking the beating, throws the ball deep into the end zone, hoping that if he can't get a catch out of it, he'll at least save taking the loss.
Not a great start for Warren Moon. 3 completions in 9 attempts for 40 yards. 2 have been intercepted. And the 2 interceptions have led to scoring plays for the BC Lions. Here now on third down, Dave Cutler from the 20. Or from the 15-yard line, I should say. No problem there. The Eskimos still trailing by a couple of touchdowns. They have to get back in a hurry. Quarter score as we have it right now, and still 2 minutes and 32 seconds to play in the opening quarter. On the Eskimo bench, Scott Stout in some difficulty. Apparently he collapsed as he headed for the sidelines. Now Jackie Parker was telling us yesterday Stout had contacted some mysterious virus and hasn't been feeling well all week. He had some problems against the Rough Riders in Saskatchewan last week. He's out of this game at least for a few moments. First down for the BC Lions now. They begin from their 35. That's Larry Jones, 23. James Parker led the Eskimo tacklers. Not much running space for Mr. Jones that time. Reminder tonight, right after our telecast from BC Place, CBC Television presents the 35th Annual Emmy Awards. Joan Rivers and Eddie Murphy co-host the Television Awards of Excellence live from Pasadena. All your favorite TV stars in the Emmy Awards right after our telecast in Vancouver this afternoon. This is 2nd and 9 facing the Lions. Pressure for DeWalt. He got it away. John Henry White short of the first down. James Parker, number 40. And White all wrapped up.
And as we see the BC Lions coming in here to punt, one thing that stands out in my mind, and I think that you're going to see a transition in defense. We're going to take a look at this last play here where DeWalt just goes back and had some success with this earlier in the ball game, took it down to the 6-yard line, but they had it pretty well covered that time. But what I was going to say is I think we're going to see a transition in defense. There's been so much coverage by linebackers on good pass receivers that I think sooner or later we're going to see 4 defensive linemen, a big tough middle linebacker, and 7 defensive backs in the ball game. I really believe that.
The Lions have used 7 defensive backs many times this season. This is Gary Hayes. Hayes to the 30. BC special teams playing extremely well as well. Gerald Roper led the tacklers that time.
But John, I think that really they're going to start recruiting defensive backs to play outside linebackers so that they'll have all that versatility with their defense. And boy, they're going to be hard to read if they have 7 guys there that can cover pass receivers.
A note on Lou Pasaglia. He's been kicking extremely well for the BC Lions. Part of the reason they feel is indoor football, but he hooped that one 51 yards. Comes into the game with a very impressive average of 46.
Lou Pasaglia is one of a dozen Simon Fraser and UBC players on this BC team. There's a dozen of them.
Moon has to get out of there. And again, Moon carries for close to 7 yards, met by Mac Moore's 78. That has been as successful as anything the Eskimos have tried all afternoon.
Well, I can remember a guy by the name of Theismann that made a lot of yards up in Canada doing the same kind of a thing.
A 7-yard pickup for Warren Moon. It's 2nd and 3 for the Eskimos.
Geographically, these teams are well represented by their players. A dozen from Simon Fraser and UBC on the BC team, and 7 University of Alberta players on that Edmonton team.
University of Alberta has provided excellent football content for the CFL. Tommy Scott, that's a first down. Scott almost to midfield.
Well, Scott just goes right across the middle and gets underneath the linebackers. Warren Moon finds him, gets a first down out of it.
A gain of 15 yards for Tommy Scott. A first down for the Eskimos, now at their 53. In the backfield now, Lumsden and Santucci. Santucci in relief of Scott Stout. And this is Neil Lumsden looking for more yardage. He's been busy this afternoon. 78 McMoore bringing Lumsden down there, but not before he had a gain of close to 5 yards. First quarter is complete. The BC Lions are in the lead. We'll be back for quarter 2 in a moment. Jackie Parker shakes his head on the sidelines. It looked so easy those first 2 games for Parker. He was a genius 2 weeks ago. He's got a couple of little problems here, like he's 2 touchdowns behind right now.
I think a lot of people have the impression that Jackie Parker is cool and always at ease and stuff like this, but anyone that knows Parker, he's a tremendous competitor. He loves to win, and he'll play anything that you want to play, money, marbles, or chalk. And, you know, standing on the sidelines and watching his team go 17-0 is a traumatic experience for him. But the way Warren Moon is handling this team right now, if they get the ball down the field and get another touchdown, all of a sudden it's 17-10 and it's a new ball game.
Absolutely correct, Leo. Warren Moon not having his best afternoon. 4 of 10 for 55 yards, but running the ball, that's another story. Warren Moon has been very effective carrying the football himself. Eskimo offense on the field facing second down, 4 yards to go. Now in the BC territory at the Lion 53. Second quarter about to begin.
This is a critical drive. If they can put some points on the board right here, it'll mean an awful lot to them. Here comes the blitz.
Moon in big trouble here. Gets the pass away. Angelo Santucci. Good block by Lumsden for Santucci. They have the first down at the 40 of BC.
Pretty good example of what Moon can do when he gets in trouble. They come with the blitz, and it looks like they're sending everybody after him right there. A lot of penetration. You'll see Bird coming, a halfback coming from the outside, but he just looks downfield, finds Angelo Santucci, and Angelo is a north-south runner. Boy, he just takes it right up the field, and he gets that first down. He's been a valuable player over the years for that Edmonton team.
He's just back in the lineup, Leo, after being injured last week.
Yeah, really unheralded guy, but always does his job.
On first down, Moon, lots of time to throw this time. There's a mix-up back there. He overthrew Brian Kelly.
I'll tell you one thing. Kelly turned JoJo Heath every way but loose on that play. Went down and run a sideline and turned up. And it was just overthrown because he was 15 yards behind JoJo Heath.
Warren Moon on the afternoon, 5 completions and 12 attempts for 68 yards. That one.
Well, watch Brian Kelly come down here. You don't see the first part of this play, but he just goes down there just over his fingertips, but he was way, way, way out in the open.
Second down and 10 for the Eskimos. BC 40-yard line.
I think Kelly went back and told him, let's try that again.
Now the pressure comes. Kelly gets open. First down. Almost to the 15.
I'll tell you one thing. That kid could get open. And again, Moon found himself in some trouble and got out of the trouble. Comes back here and takes a look, and everybody's covered. Now here comes the pressure on him, and he steps outside of the pressure right there. Then he looks downfield and finds Kelly, and Kelly is where he's always at, just in that open spot. Takes the ball right down, and here they've got the ball now on the 15-yard line, and a touchdown right here. Boy, we got the ball game in a hurry.
For Brian Kelly, a 25-yard pickup. Now for the Eskimos, first down at the Lion 15. Moon quickly for Waddell Smith. Tight coverage. He couldn't hang on. Kerry Parker, 17, with Smith every step of the way.
Well, I think he got it on his hip, and it's a pretty hard pass to catch. Instead of getting it out in front of him, I think it hit him right on the hip, and he had to reach back, and then there was a little bit of jostling by the defensive back, Parker.
Thanks to the folks at BC Place. That's the new scoreboard in this beautiful new building. $126 million in total this building, guys. The BC Lions and their fans, it looks like it's worth it. Warren Moon, second and 10 in the end zone. What else Smith can't get? Moon is just a little bit off, Leo. And another man in the open.
Yeah, I think maybe Warren might be feeling the results of an injured arm or something, because he's not. This is about the second or third time that he's overthrown the football. He doesn't do that often. Well, Smith is down there, and well, I think maybe he had to throw the ball that far because the defense was pretty tight.
So it's third down. The Eskimos will have to settle for 3. Paul Hickey, 14, holding for Dave Cutler. A 23-yard drive. No problem for Cutler. So that's 6 for the Eskimos, but they're not cutting away at a big BC Lion lead. Handed to the Lions, courtesy of 3 Eskimo turnovers. We'll be right back. But darn close at BC Place this afternoon. Capacity is 60,000, over 50,000, likely around 55,000.
And what a great arena we have here. You're talking about the scoreboard before. It includes a 20-foot by 30-foot full-color replay screen, plus 100 color monitors located throughout this building.
You know, those private boxes for the wealthier patrons are pretty nice around this place, too. First down, Lions. Right away, looks long for Fernandez. And what a week he had last week. Fernandez 3 touchdown passes against the Montreal Concord. He only caught 4 passes all afternoon. 3 went for touchdown.
I think DeWalt may have got in a bad habit last week because he threw the ball up just like that and let Fernandez fight with the defensive back. And as I said before, the defensive back fell down on 3 occasions and he ran for touchdowns. You don't see that very often.
On the afternoon, Roy DeWalt, 3 completions in 5 attempts. He's only gathered 33 yards. No interceptions, a big statistic there for the BC Lions.
There's Roper going in there at guard for Miles. Miles is down on one knee, and they've been kind of sharing duties there at that guard position.
Miles from the University of Ottawa. The BC offensive line averages out at 253 pounds. Warner Miles heads to the sidelines. He appears to be okay. So it's second down now for the Lions at their 35.
Here comes the blitz.
Parker has Roy DeWalt. DeWalt looked for Sammy Green. He wasn't close.
Well, DeWalt was a little premature in that throw, and I think maybe if he hung in there a second longer, he could have gotten Green because Green broke open, but he didn't take that loss. He just wasted the ball, and as a result, they'll be punting, but they won't be punting from way back. Watch Mr. Parker come in here right now. This is what you call separating from the block and getting in on top of the quarterback, and he's great for that. He's got that great speed. He'll come in and he'll engage the blocker and then give him a dummy leg, as they call it, go right around him.
Third down for the Lions. Lou Pasaglia back near his 20. Another outstanding kick for Pasaglia. This is Gary Hayes. Special teams for the Lions. Very impressive today. Gerald Roper, 65, has been the first tackler down a couple of occasions. He was the first to get to Gary Hayes that time as well.
Well, Donnie Matthews made a point that may prove pretty true since he's got that 17 points on the board. And that is that maybe the thing that's going to decide this football game is going to be the special teams and the kicking teams. And especially, a lot of people think that kicking teams are the only thing that involves special teams, but we just saw what's very important, and that's that coverage team.
Second straight punt for Louis Pasaglia of 51 yards. So the Eskimos begin at their 32. Going to the far side for Kelly. First down at the 49 of Edmonton. Kelly likes that sideline pattern, Leo.
He sure does, and he's chalking up some yardage. And like I said before last night, Greer had a pretty good night again in spite of the loss by the Argos. Boy, I'm going to look at this one more time. It looks like maybe he didn't catch this ball in bounds.
We don't see it very clearly there. A gain for Brian Kelly of 17 yards. They let it stand on the 49. Angelo Santucci, hard running inside. Jackson was there, 37, and Kevin Conan, 31. And the crowd at BC Place livening up once more.
I think we're going into the accordion routine here now.
off that Warren Moon pass.
And this crowd is beginning to go crazy again with this accordion-like thing. It's going all around the whole stadium at this time, but Donnie Matthews said yesterday sometimes these people forget the home team. They do it in spite of the fact that the home team has the ball.
No question, that kind of noise can bother a visiting quarterback. But Matthews pointed out it bothers his defense every once in a while when they're trying to counter with their signals on the field. Paul Hickey. That's Crawford. Larry Crawford. So the Lions will begin from near their 30-yard line when we return. BC 17, the Eskimos 6. Lots more ahead. Eskimos down by 11 points to Don Matthews, BC Lions. 9 minutes, 46 seconds to play until halftime. And the Lions have taken advantage of Eskimo turnovers for all of their scoring this afternoon. The Eskimos have managed just 2 Dave Pepler field goals. There's a long way to go in this football afternoon from BC Place. We hope you're enjoying yourself. First down for the Lions. DeWalt beginning from his 28-yard line, and that's Larry Jones. Tuanay, number 60, was on top, and Kepley was underneath.
Well, their defense is going to have to come up big this afternoon with that bulge that they got out there, BC, against Edmonton. But I think kind of an interesting thing is that Towns leads all the Edmonton tacklers with 38 tackles, and the 10th guy is Hayes with 28, and in between there's a spread from 38 to 28 of 9 defensive players, so the distribution is pretty good in terms of tackles.
Eskimos with an extra deep back in. Jerry Phillips goes in. Nowhere that time, but a flag is down. Gary Hayes made the stop on Larry Jones coming out of the backfield, but did he grab a face mask?
I think he did, John. I think you're going to get a face mask. I don't think the official right on top of the play saw it, but the sideline official did.
Close look now.
DeWalt gets the ball to the outside. You'll see. Yeah, there it is right there. There's no mistake about that. Gary Hayes.
Major foul. Face mask. Edmonton number 28. First down.
Our referee this afternoon is John Ireland.
John, the thing that the BC Lions can't afford to do is to do what they did against Montreal, and that's get out with a big lead and then sit on top of it and not do anything else. They got to keep this ball moving if they're going to beat this Edmonton team.
The Lions have not really sustained any kind of a drive at any time this afternoon offensively. DeWalt. That was Parker, and DeWalt is down. Big pressure on Roy DeWalt that time. He fired it well out of bounds. James Parker, number 40, was the first man through. Actually, DeWalt, a good job to get this ball away.
Sure did. And you see Parker again in there with a hold on his jersey, and he spins away from him, and then sees Spinell and all those people coming. He says, let me throw this ball up in the stands in the general vicinity of Fernandez.
James Parker made the play, no question about it. He will not get credit for a quarterback sack. He has 7 of those on the season. 2nd and 10 Lions. Parker coming once more. John Pankratz makes the reception. And some confusion down there. Larry Highbaugh and Emilio Priata both thinking the other man had coverage responsibility.
And I think they both thought that he was throwing to Pankratz. Little bootleg action in the backfield, faking the sweep to the right, coming back to his left. He gets the ball past Pankratz.
Sammy Green makes the catch.
Sammy Green does make the catch, and it's very, very close to the first down.
We talked about Nick Hebler's presence on this football team being missed as a gung-ho member of that BC Lion defense.
Well, he's not only a great performer and an outside rusher with tremendous speed and strength, but he also means a lot to that football team just being on the field.
Right now, the Lion offense at center stage with a first down. Boone was through to...
But Hebler would be all right if he had a pair of arms, wouldn't he?
There's Nick on the sideline. And And he'll be participating in CBC Superstars later this year.
He's got all the shots there. He's got a camera. He's probably got a radio there listening to Cahill's comments. All kinds of things.
Larry Jones took a tremendous hit on that last play. And he's still being helped to the sidelines by the BC training staff. Next weekend, a Super Sports Saturday from CBC Television. We begin with the Expos and the Mets everywhere but Southern Ontario. Viewers there will see Sports Weekend, featuring the World Amateur Water Ski Championships, the Stuart Fraser Pace from Edmonton, and later the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Then we move to football, Manitoba and Southern Ontario. We'll see the first showdown between Brock and Clements, Hamilton and Winnipeg, and then later from coast to coast, it's Ottawa and Saskatchewan. Previewing next weekend from CBC. That's Sammy Green, stopped short of the first down, however. Emilio Frietta, and that is a big mismatch. Frietta stands in there about 5'9".
Well, you know that Frietta will give you 100% every time, and he stepped in there and did a pretty good job for them. When Ed Jones went down, he comes in there and makes a tackle, and he better make that tackle because that Green will be all the way up in the stands if he don't.
Sammy Green, number 35, stands 6'1". Emilio Frietta is pushing to get to 5'9".
Larry Highball loves those little guys in there because that makes him big.
He's got friends back in that Eskimo secondary now with Jerry Phillip and Emilio Frietta back there. People he can relate to. Lou Pasaglia. 2 51-yard punts in a row. This one is deep as well. And Holloman lets it trickle through. I don't know why they're wasting time with that. The Eskimos give up a single point for field position.
Well, normally when the punter kicks that ball, especially when it's high, he goes down there just in the event that something like that happens, and if the ball bounces back or something, he can get on it and recover it, and it can be the kicking team's ball. But that time I watched Pasaglia, and he just stood there and watched the punt, so all the Edmonton receiver did was just stand there and watch it too. I don't know how long that could go before they'd call the game.
The point is, Leo, the Eskimos need time. 6:37 to play. A 62-yard single by Lou Pasaglia gives the BC Lions 18-6 lead. 6:27 to play till the half. Eskimos on first down from their 35. Moon on target. Brian Kelly couldn't hang on. Good coverage, however.
Yeah, he strung that one in there too. I think something important or a little bit novel to point out right here is that the top 4 receivers, Kelly, Scott, Smith, and Fryer, they all, if they retain their average at this time, Fryer would be the only one that would have trouble getting to 1,000 yards. But they could have 3,000-yard receivers on that football team if they just retain the average that they've been used to in the first 10 games.
Last year, Warren Moon of 5,000-yard passes. And that established the new Canadian Football League record. Moon is on target to break that this year. Second down and 10. Waddell Smith the first down, and Smith has great speed. Crawford from behind. Waddell thought he was gone for a brief second.
Out there, Waddell can turn on a lot of people and turn upfield, but that Crawford, he's a great football player. And this guy's not shaken up by his interceptions. He gets the ball right in there on that curl. You'll see Waddell now turn to the outside, but Crawford has got that great acceleration and just dives in there and gets at his ankles, knocks him down.
A 26-yard gain has the Eskimos at the BC 49, first and 10. Moon's numbers getting better all the time. This time for Tommy Scott, it bounced once.
It sure did.
No argument from Scott.
Well, the official was right there looking right down his sights, and there was no way that he was going to get away with that. Sometimes when the official is between you and when the receiver, I should say, is between the official and the ball, you can get away with that thing if he's a good actor, but not when the official's looking into it.
Second down and 10, facing the Eskimos at the BC 49. Boom, big pressure. Nowhere to go. 60, Klassen. 64, Jonathan Craver, met at the quarterback.
Well, one of the things that BC has lost since Hebler has been hurt is that power rush. And Clausen is playing in the position that Hebler played in. Normally he played on the inside in the tackle position, and they made a nice combination of the two, but now he's got the responsibility, and he's got to use his agility and his quickness on the outside. He went around Stevenson that time and made the play, but he's not going to overpower anybody, Clausen is. He's not that strong. He's not a Hebler in strength.
Just one man back, Larry Crawford, BC Lions, to accept Paul Hickey's kick. Hickey, and a big rush that time. Crawford swarmed under by the first of the Eskimo tacklers, leading the way that time, 59, Leo Blanchard. The BC Lions leading the Eskimos 18-6. Lots more ahead. From our halftime show from BC Place today features Brian Williams and the highlights from two big games in Canadian football yesterday. The Eskimo Report from Peter Watts, the story of three quarterbacks. Breakup preparations in Vancouver. Of course, CompuStats and first half highlights with Leo Cahill. Full show at halftime. Stay with us this afternoon. Lions pen deep in their own zone.
This is where the Edmonton Eskimos have got to play defense now. Hold it down here and get field position.
Sammy Green. A gain of maybe 4 yards. Tom Towns led the Eskimo tacklers that time.
They'll settle for a 4-yard gain by Sammy Green every time.
A gain of 5 yards. It'll be 2nd and 5. Lions now at their 9. Make that the 14-yard line.
Chillip went there and they took Towns out now, so they're into their extra halfback. A great move there by DeWalt getting away.
He needs a receiver and finds one. Larry Jones steps out of bounds after the first down catch.
Just a fantastic job of getting away. Goes back and goes into almost a pirouette right here. He feels the pressure coming. Now watch him. A little reverse pivot right there out to the outside. Look downfield. Throw the ball on the run. Get the shoulders up the field. And everything is just about perfect.
That play hurt the Eskimos.
Starting to express his great talent.
Lions now at their 25 with a first down. Roy DeWalt for Larry Jones once more. Another BC first down. Forced out by Dale Potter. Joe Holloman was the last man back.
Forced out by Potter and knocked out by Holloman.
Lions 18, Eskimos 6. More from CBC Sports after this. Looks like it's already been a long afternoon for the Eskimo veteran David Fennell on the bench.
Well, that's a new combination they have now with Fennell and Hunter. They spell those guys off so they keep them fresh, and I think it's a pretty good idea if you can have that extra guy.
Blitz was on. DeWalt avoided it. John Henry White made the reception short of the first down. He'll have close to 6.
Well, I'll tell you that Hunter comes on tough. He was in that backfield with a lot of depth.
They were very pleased with James Hunter last week, Leo, for the fact that he came up with the big plays at the right times against Saskatchewan in his first game as an Eskimo.
Here they are taking Towns out of the ball game now, putting Phillip in there again and going to the extra back. Passing situation.
2nd and 4 for the Lions, just shy of their 50-yard line. DeWalt time to throw far side. It's tipped out of bounds. Emilio Frietta.
Pretty good play by Frietta. He didn't try to make the interception. He just was sure that he got to the ball to knock it down.
James Hunter, 66. Famous number in Eskimo history. John Legrone wore that back a few seasons.
I sure remember John Legrone.
So
I think he was from Southern Methodist, wasn't he? Was it from college? I know he was a Texas boy. He was a great one. They've had some great defensive players in Edmonton, and they've had some great offensive players, so I won't make anybody mad.
Lou Pasaglia, another great kick. Joe Holloman calls for it at the 6. Holloman still going, but
Oh, boy, I tell you.
it was futile. Konar led the Lion tacklers that time. BC special teams we talked about before, but they have been effective this afternoon. 2:09 to play till halftime.
They look like a bunch of bees that time. that orange horde just completely enclosed the scene and jumped all over Holloman. He had no place to go.
27, Marco Sincar is into the game for the first time today.
You see where they're getting the ball right now, John. Field position is the important thing. And DeWalt accomplished what he wanted to. He got him out of the hole at the other end of the field and let the punting put them in trouble down the field. And here's a guy that's getting them back out of trouble again.
Short of the first down that time. We talked about field position. Lou Pasaglia's last punt traveled 55 yards, and he's been a big story in this game already.
Sure has, but sometimes the things that you don't see, as we see Moon here step to the outside, just dipsy-doodling there to the inside. Sees those orange shirts closing in and says, let me put my head down here and take my licking. That was Jackson that got in there and made the final hit.
For Moon, 7 yards for the Eskimos, 2nd and 3. Less than 2 minutes to play till halftime. The Eskimos trailing by 12. Moon over the middle. Watson could not hang on. He'll think about that one. It could have been a big play for the Eskimos. He had the first down yardage and looked ahead before he had possession of the football.
Well, it's that age-old story of running before you get the football. Neal looked over his inside shoulder right there and started looking for the defenders coming as to which way he was going to try to evade them. And what did he do? He dropped the football. And now DeWalt has done what he wanted to accomplish. He moved the football team far enough to get Pasaglia to kick the ball down and get them in danger. Now Edmonton has to have a real good kick here. The BC Lions are going to end up with excellent field position.
And certainly not the distance that Pasaglia has been able to attain. And the bats, an outstanding punt return, and look for the BC Lions. Will scrimmage from near the Eskimo 42.
Boy, you gotta like that Crawford. He can do so many things for a football team to help you.
Hickey's punt that time, 41 yards. So he's giving up close to 16 yards to Pasaglia on those last 2 punting exchanges.
There's Crawford with the football now. A good guy just takes that ball and turns it upfield and looks for an opening and just tries to hit that opening. And he's got a very, very well-met situation right there, but I didn't get the defender's number.
For Crawford, a 15-yard pickup for Sammy Green. Lots more here. He got away from McLeod. The Eskimos victimized by sloppy tackling.
DeWalt goes back, and an excellent job there of picking up Kepley on a stunt coming into the middle there. He evades the outside defender there and turns it back against the flow. Almost takes it all the way into the end zone, gets it down to the 8-yard line.
Sammy Green, big play man for the BC Lions. Lions 1st and 10. To the end zone, almost picked off by McLeod. He would have redeemed himself if he could have held on to that football.
Yeah, I think that DeWalt would have been well advised to either take his licking on that one or to try to make some yards running or something, but he threw that ball into a lot of trouble in there.
DeWalt good on 11 of 17, 126 yards. The big story, no interceptions, although it was close right there. 1:05 to play till halftime. 2nd down.
When you get to the 8-yard line on 1st down, you can't afford, unless you're sure where you're going with that football, to throw it.
It's goal to go for the Lions. DeWalt drops it to the end zone for Fernandez. Can't hang on. Joe Holloman with Herbert Fernandez all the way.
I believe Fernandez could have caught that ball if you can see a replay on it. It was just lofted over the top. It's that inside the 20-yard line pass where the quarterback just takes a couple steps back and just throws it, and speed gets there. He got a hand on it right there. Couldn't have been thrown any better. Would have been a great catch, but he could have had it.
So on 3rd down, the Lions will settle for 3 points from Lou Pasaglia. Pasaglia on the afternoon has 1 field goal to his credit. On the season, he's been good on 21 of 29.
By golly, I believe he missed that.
They say it's good, Leo.
Well, I think that referee can see it better down there than I can up here. It looked like from where I was, it went over the top of the post. Maybe that gets it.
Add 3 more to a somewhat surprising BC lead on the Edmonton Eskimos. We head to halftime. 58 seconds remain to play. 21-6 Lions in front of the Eskimos. Turnovers, a big part of the Edmonton problems this afternoon. Well, in 3 minutes, the Eskimos turned over the football twice, and the Lions picked up 14 points.
The thing you got to admire is the defensive play of the BC Lions, because Edmonton has had chances to come back, but they've held them down there to field goals on a couple occasions, and they've tightened up and retained that lead. And the thing that they're doing this week that they didn't do against Montreal is they're threatening offensively after those first big touchdowns.
Here's the Lions have called a timeout just before we head to halftime. A reminder to stay with CBC Television later this evening for the Emmy Awards. We'll take you from BC Place in Vancouver to Pasadena, California for the 35th edition of television's Emmy Awards. Host tonight, Joan Rivers and Eddie Murphy. Should be a few laughs from those two, Leo.
Oh, well, should there ever. I just saw that 48 Hours the other night. That Murphy does everything but take fifth.
CBC Television, the place to be tonight for the Emmy Awards, right after football from Vancouver. Don Matthews still not smiling in spite of the way the Lions have performed. Warren Moon, 136 yards in passing. 2 weeks ago, he passed for 522. He's been off a little bit this afternoon. Moon in traffic, fired low and outside. Matt Moore had the pressure on Moon as he gets up slowly.
Well, they've done a good job of covering the receivers up to 20 yards down the field, and Moon just hasn't had a chance to throw quickly. And then the defensive rush is getting there. First Clausen a moment ago, and then that time Mac Moore. And they're getting some penetration.
64, Jonathan Craver for the BC Lions is the latest addition up front. And they've been happy with his play and should be again today. Clausen gets through. Moon over the middle. Neil Lumsden makes the catch that time. Lumsden with a head of steam to the 40-yard line. Big play for the Eskimos. 45 seconds on the clock.
Big tackle by JoJo Heath, but he felt it more. When you go head-to-head with Neil Lumsden in the open field, you've got to feel it. Comes back here and looks around and throws the ball on the run, and a good catch by Lumsden right there. He evades a couple of guys, and then JoJo Heath makes the tackle, but fields it.
For Santucci, close to 5 yards. 34 seconds till halftime. The Eskimos now face 2nd and 5.
Well, Warren Moon is dangerous in a situation like this. And seven or 8 points right here could make a big difference going in at halftime.
It would change the entire complexion of the second half, no question. Moon, time to throw this time over the middle. A strike. Tommy Scott. Now, did they rule a catch? Tyrone Cruz covering on Scott that time, so the linebackers were drifting off a little bit. Cruz is hurt. Is that Glenn Jackson? A little tough to see from all the way up here, Leo.
Well, Jackie Parker has decided here to go for the 3 points and take them while he can get them. Make it 21-9 going in at halftime. I'm not too sure it's not a pretty good play to get those points when you can get them. They've got a 3rd down and 5 right here.
A little difficult to see from that angle, but from the end zone, you can see that the Eskimo receiver, Tommy Scott, could not hang on. So it's 3rd down.
Glenn Jackson got a hit. It looked like it could have been a hip pointer. It looked like he got some contact right in the hip, and boy, that's a tough injury if he gets that hip pointer.
Looked like it came in collision with one of his own teammates, actually, the injury to Jackson.
There you see it right there, and boom, there comes Cruz in it. I think maybe he got it under the ribs. Either place, if he got it in that rib cartilage or in the hip, it's a very, very painful injury. If he thinks it's painful today, wait till tomorrow.
Glenn Jackson in his 8th year in Canadian football out of Simon Fraser. And that brings in Kevin Konar, number 31. 24 4 seconds to play until halftime. A reminder to stay with us at the half. We'll have highlights of what's gone on in Week 12 in Canadian football, including this afternoon's Ottawa victory over the Hamilton Tiger Cats, 29-25. Dave Cutler from the 41-yard line. Paul Hickey holding. And Cutler socks it through. So that's the 9th points that the Eskimos have been able to achieve this afternoon. The BC Lions have totaled 21. Cutler 3 for 3, but those field goals are not enough to beat the BC Lions.
Well, they're sneaking up. You know, they got 21-9 now and an 8-point touchdown, a regular touchdown with a 2-pointer. Give them 17 points. They're getting close then. BC Lions, they're not going to give anything up this afternoon. They're playing some pretty good football offensively and defensively. And the thing that's impressed me most about them is that when they got that bulge, they didn't get fat. They didn't get thinking that they were going to rest on their laurels. They stayed right in there offensively and defensively. It gives them a little consistency and it gives them a little substance that they didn't have against Montreal.
Roy DeWalt went down on that play on one knee. And a flag went down as well. So the discussion continues with the BC Lions. Al Wilson is there talking to our referee, John Ireland.
Procedure, BC, no end. Decline, second down.
There's a place that you can take a chance after you show your intentions on first down that you're going to kneel down and take it and try to run the clock out, then fake like you're going to kneel down this second time and send one of those speed guys down the field and just throw it up in the air.
Haven't seen that done for a while.
Oh.
Was that in the old Argo playbook?
Tried anything we could get the ball in the end zone.
Some of your years down there was a little tough. Others it was a little easier. The guy called Theismann, you mentioned earlier in the telecast, made life a little easier for a head coach.
Joe's making a coach down in Washington look pretty good now.
11 seconds on the clock, unofficially, of course. It's second down and 12 to go for the Lions. BC appearing content.
That formation,
just run it
they're
down.
not going to send anybody downfield. You can bet on that. They've got everybody in there shoe to shoe.
Roy DeWalt downs it to end the first half of football at BC Place this afternoon. BC Lions turnover is the big part of their game today. And they're into a commanding lead on the Edmonton Eskimos. Stay with us for the halftime show.
It is halftime, and the BC Lions leading Edmonton by 12 points. Good afternoon, everyone, from CFL Control in Toronto. In just a few minutes, Peter Watts, standing by in Edmonton, will bring us a special report on 3 generations of truly outstanding Eskimo quarterbacks right now working with this Edmonton team. First of all, let's bring you up to date on weekend highlights in the CFL, beginning with the game played earlier this afternoon at Lansdowne Park in Ottawa. Dieter Brock's debut as a Hamilton Ticat, I think the best thing we can say is he was inconsistent. Tom Clements spent a lot of time in his rear end because of that weak Hamilton offensive line. Brock sacked 3 times today. He got it together in the second quarter. Here's a nice pass to Ron Johnson. Brock later went in for the touchdown. Again, it is Brock going to Johnson. Beautiful pass, good catch. This touchdown gave Hamilton a 14-10 lead. Now, still in the second quarter, watch this. J.C. Watts is passing right in front of the receiver is Gerald Bess. He returns it 31 yards for the touchdown. Hamilton led 21-10 at the half. In the third quarter, Watts to the leading rusher in the CFL. And Walker, Skip Walker with a touchdown. He added a 2-point conversion. Walker doesn't spike it, just soft and easy. Yes, you're number 1. At that point, it was 22-21, Hamilton. Here's Watts going to Tyrone Gray for the touchdown. The Ottawa Rough Riders defeat the Hamilton Ticats and Dieter Brock by 4 points this afternoon. Now, the Ottawa win this afternoon tightens things up in the Eastern Conference, with the exception of first place. Toronto, in spite of losing last night, is pretty well home free. You see Ottawa and Hamilton now, though, tied with 8 points. They don't play each other again this season, and the Ottawa Rough Riders have a game in hand. Well, I mentioned the Toronto Argonauts losing last night. Big surprise here in Toronto before 35,000, which really is a very poor crowd for the Argonauts. The Calgary Stampeders were outstanding, winning 49-20. The story is Bernard Quarles. Here he is to Mike Levenseller. Levenseller, 6 passes, 133 yards. Stamps were leading 14-11. Still in the second quarter, again, Quarles, the rookie from Hawaii, to Willie Armstead. 3 passes for 62 yards. Calgary led 21-11. In the third quarter, Quarles again to Levenseller. Good move. Quarles passed for 393 yards in the game. Jerry DiTilio in relief of Quarles. DiTilio to Craig Ellis in all the Stampeders, racking up 499 yards. Total offense as they come into Toronto and simply destroy the Argonauts last night. Yeah, you deserve a little shake. Big win for the Stampeders. In the second game last night, it was Tom Clements' debut as a Winnipeg Blue Bomber. Clements entered the football game after Nicky Hull was injured with about 9 minutes to play in the second quarter. The Winnipeg fans giving a tremendous ovation to Tom Clements. And here is Willard Reeves going in for the touchdown, 21-yarder. Winnipeg in the lead, 23-7. I tell you, Clements and Reeves making those Winnipeg fans forget the combination of Brock and Miller. And Clements, well, he was nervous.
When I got in there, I was a little nervous and trying to push things a little bit, and really didn't play that well in the first half. Then the second half, I just gave the ball to Willard Reeves, and that makes me a good quarterback, handing the ball off to him.
Well, Reeves is outstanding, but Clements is modest. He played a good football game last night. Here he goes to Joe Popleski. Big win, and I'll tell you, Winnipeg, the surprise team in the CFL. Good job by Kel Murphy. Kel Murphy really has done a good job. A lot of Winnipeg players very happy to see Clements. Many were very angry with Brock, feeling he had abandoned them when he walked out on the Winnipeg team. Blue Bombers win last night. Hey, look at this. Tie for first place. Edmonton is not finished yet today. Don't write them off. We could still have a 3-way tie for first in the West. Speaking of the Edmonton Eskimos, we will take a look at quarterbacking history in Edmonton. 2 veterans on the job with a current outstanding quarterback in Warren Moon. That's when we return. This is CFL 83 coming to you from our control center today in Toronto.
Enjoy an adventure in shopping at the Granville Island Public Market. Meander from merchant to merchant. Savor the unique old world atmosphere. Experience the color and excitement. The Granville Island Public Market. Share the adventure.
Hi, I'm Mary Bellows, and this is Zeke. We're cutting down our expenses this year. We're doing all our home repairs ourselves. Well, I do the repairs. Zeke's the foreman. You can learn to do it for yourself, too. Join us every weekday right here on CBC British Columbia. Do it for yourself. What are we going to do, Zeke? Where are we going to start? Let's,
Take 30 to explore the world about us. The latest developments in medicine, science, and technology. Take 30 to meet the newsmakers, the controversial, the legendary. Take 30 to keep abreast of the worlds of art and culture. Take 30 for sound financial and consumer advice. Take 30, your window on the world, every weekday afternoon with Perry Brown and Nadine Berger.
You know, it is interesting. 3 generations of outstanding quarterbacks now working with this Eskimo team, and with more on that, here is Peter Watts.
It has been something like an alumni meeting at the Eskimo camp the last couple of weeks, ever since Jackie Parker returned as the team's head coach, and Tom Wilkinson came back in an advisory role to help with the offense. Executive manager Norm Kimball wanted Jack Parker to be a calming influence on the Eskimos, to get the team back into a groove where the players could do the things that have been so successful over the last 5 years. Parker's record to this point is 2 wins and as many starts. The Eskimos have scored 96 points in those games and allowed just 41. And they're back in the thick of the race for top spot in the West.
Well, I think it's just the overall tradition that they have of being winning quarterbacks. and being really good guys as far as leadership is concerned. They're both looked up to a lot in the community and throughout the city, and our ball players, you know, really look up to these two players quite a bit too, and I think that's the reason why the transition has been so smooth since they've both come in and Coach Parker's taken over.
Tom Wilkinson has not been involved in the Eskimos since he retired after the 1981 season. But when Parker was appointed head coach on the 7th of September, Wilkinson was just about the first person who was called in to help in an advisory role.
You know, Wilkie has played with most of the guys that are on this team. Wilkie's a well-liked guy, and he and Warren always worked well together, so I couldn't see any reason that they wouldn't be able to again. And, you know, so far they've really made it work.
For 3 years, Warren Moon played a support role to Tom Wilkinson, but it was always a friendly rivalry, and there is no resentment on Moon's part over Wilkinson's new role.
He's come right in and picked up right on those things that we were doing before, where the first half of the season this year we weren't doing those things, and as soon as Wilkie and Coach Parker came in here, we got right back to the things that made us successful, and I think, you know, that's the major thing, just being familiar with our offense.
Wilkie has played with Warren, and he knows this team, and we get in the meetings with Coach Bowman and the quarterbacks and Wilkie and myself, and there's a lot of input from everybody, Wilkie and Warren and as I say, Coach Bowman. So the input has been there, and Warren has been able to take it to the field and do the job with it.
I knew some of the things that he excelled at, and the plays that I could remember that he did really, really well over the years. And so what I wanted to try and be able to do along with Warren was get plays back into the offense that he felt comfortable with that weren't there, that had been there in previous years.
Key to the Eskimo rebound has been the rejuvenation of confidence in the players, undoubtedly the greatest contribution Parker has made. Wilkinson's contribution has been more subtle but no less important, a contribution born from knowing what works.
This club has a lot of great players that have played for it, and a lot of tradition going with that, and these two guys have really come in and done an excellent job of helping turn this ball club around, and I just hope, you know, we as players see that and take our steps as far as doing it on the field.
Our thanks to Peter Watts. It is going to be very interesting to see if Parker and Wilkie can turn this team around in the second half. We will preview Grey Cup festivities when we return. This is CFL 83 coming to you today from our control center here in Toronto.
What you doing, Charlie?
Being a connoisseur.
That's water.
Right. Take it back. Too wet. Us connoisseurs send everything back to show the waiter our good taste. Right, Starkist?
Starkist doesn't want tunas with good taste. Starkist wants tunas that taste good.
Sorry, Charlie. Only good-tasting tuna get to be Starkist. Like good-tasting 100% chunk-light tuna fillet packed in spring water.
Get good taste. Get Starkist.
Puppies and parrots, budgies and bunnies, all kinds of tropical fish. Filters and feeders, cages and collars, supplies for whatever you wish. For the kind quality your pet deserves, do what the pet lovers do. Come to Brig House Pet and Supply Store. At Brig House, we love pets too.
The Reno Machine. CP Air Holidays has the only 747 steak and champagne flights to Reno. 3 nights for as low as $259. Going Reno? Go 747. Call your Eaton's Travel Office. 12 convenient locations in the Lower Mainland and Vancouver Island.
This year's Grey Cup game is Sunday, November the 27th at BC Place. The city of Vancouver is ready for a party, and they extend this invitation.
It's time to sound the banner and shout out the news. You've got an invitation to shake off the blues. Our Grey Cup run is over with rare old joie de vivre. You'll find there's plenty there to share at Fanfare 83. Pack up your cares and troubles and leave them at home. We've got the swinging party, the cake and the dough. to be. Rise up the band for you and for me. It's fanfare time in beautiful BC. Pack up your cares and troubles and leave them at home. We've got the swinging barge, game and the dome. Vancouver in November is the place to be. Strike up the band for you and for me. It's fanfare time in beautiful BC.
And of course, CBC, the place to be for Grey Cup 83, will bring you the Shenley Awards from Vancouver Thursday, November the 24th. On Saturday the 26th, the annual Grey Cup Parade Sports Weekend will come from Vancouver the day prior to the game. We'll have a full football show and sports weekend. And then, of course, on Sunday the 27th, the football game, the Grey Cup from Vancouver, and our pregame show. One fellow that's going to be awfully busy Grey Cup weekend and the week before it is Edmonton's John Wells. And John right now is standing by with first half highlights out at BC Place.
Reception for Grey Cup 83 in Vancouver is already beginning out here, Brian. They've been talking Grey Cup for quite some time, and we're going to play it for the first time indoors. We're all looking forward to Grey Cup 1983, and we'll see who's going to be in that game rather shortly, I would think. Halftime statistics from CFL action this afternoon tell quite an interesting story, and if you look right down to almost the bottom line, turnovers, 3 by the Edmonton Eskimos, cost Edmonton 17 points in the early moments of this football game, and that has been a major story of the BC Lion 21-9 halftime lead on the Edmonton Eskimos. There were highlights, predominantly they belong to the BC Lions. Leo Cahill has a few to point out now. Leo?
Well, John, the thing that impressed me more than anything else was that the BC Lions didn't sit on their lead like they did against Montreal. They played well offensively and defensively, and the tempo of the game really started out on the kickoff. Joe Holloman from Edmonton took the first kickoff, and he started up the field and just had what looked like was going to be an outstanding return. Evaded several tacklers as he swung to the outside to the right there following his blocking. Ran over a couple would-be tacklers, but at the last moment the ball was kicked loose from him. Ryan Potter jumped on the football. That gave the BC Lions excellent field position. And you'll see DeWalt come out right now. Pancratz come across the middle unattended and caught the football in the end zone for the first score. The extra point made it 7-0. Now you'll see Moon to Waddell Smith is intercepted by Parker. That came almost in the wake of that first touchdown, and they've got the ball in good field position again. Then Moon comes back here, gives the ball to Sammy Green on a reverse, and Green comes down the field. You see Fernandez right here using his body and Green using his speed. Green takes the ball, ends up in the end zone. Extra point is made, and it's 14-0. Now again, Moon throws the ball for Brian Kelly on the sidelines, and a very, very alert JoJo Heath comes up, takes the football all the way down to the shadow of the goal line. There's a clipping penalty right there that brings the ball back to about the 30-yard line. Then a little middle screen there to John Henry White. He takes the ball right down to the 8-yard line. A field goal is kicked at 17-3 at that point. Then there was an exchange of field goals, John, and the score ended at halftime 21-9.
Lots more action ahead from BC Place in Vancouver. For now, though, we take you back to our CFL control, Brian Williams.
All right, thank you, John. In case you missed it earlier today, Ottawa defeating Hamilton 29-25. Dieter Brock was inconsistent. The Hamilton offensive line not as good as the one he played behind in Winnipeg. Winnipeg at Hamilton next Saturday. You viewers in Winnipeg will see the game here on CBC. This is CFL 83 coming to you from CBC Television Sports.
In your ear, to your mind, to your heart. That's the way great recorded sound should travel. Introducing the SM5000 Classical Recording Series.
Half-speed mastering.
Digital recordings. The most advanced recording technique available today. In stores across this country at the SM5000 display. Listen to us and feel the music.
If you were designing a guide to CBC radio and stereo, you'd include previews of programs of special interest, features about on-air and behind-the-scenes people, and of course, comprehensive listings for both CBC radio and stereo. And your radio guide would be available each month at newsstands or through the mail. Radio Guide. Subscribe now. For just $12, get a full year of Radio Guide.
She is wife, mother, and factory worker. She recently signed a petition protesting the illegal arrest of 2 union leaders. She knows that in her country, such a gesture can trigger detention, torture, and execution. She has hoped that things would be different for her. She's wrong. Amnesty International calls her a prisoner of conscience, and we're fighting for her life. We need all the help we can get.
Just before we get the second half underway, John Pankratz, who's had an outstanding season with the BC Lions. John, why? What's different this year for you personally?
For me personally, I think it's the whole new offensive system with a double slot back like Edmonton has, and I've been utilized a lot more, and same as Sammy Green, and we're throwing the ball a lot more, and of course Roy's a great quarterback, and besides that, I think it's just the general attitude of the team. Coach is a lot more relaxed, and coming in the second half of the season, the whole team is more relaxed. We're having a lot of fun this year.
You know, it was a big game today. What was the attitude in the dressing room prior to the game? A tense BC Lion dressing room, or could you relax?
No, I think it was pretty relaxed. I think everybody was doing what they had done all year, and that's, I think, what the difference has been. There hasn't been yelling and screaming, just everybody's supposed to do their job, and that's what we tried to do in the first half.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
It's worked well for the Lions and for John Pankratz. Second half underway, and this is Sammy Green. To the 35-yard line, Joe Holloman made the tackle.
Boy, he is exciting. He got that football, and it looked for a moment there like he was going to hit that seam and go all the way, and I can remember him doing something similar to that over in Hamilton earlier in the year. He takes the ball right in the shadow of his own goal line, starts at the outside, and he's looking out of the corner of his eye, and he's looking for that seam, and he weaves to the outside, turns back the inside. Joe Holloman's a great open field tackler, though, and got him, and he got to the 35-yard line.
A 28-yard return sets the Lions up at their 35 with a first down. Over the middle quickly to Wolf. And he lost the football. Who has it?
Well, that's it.
The Eskimos have their first break of the day.
And you know what this looks like, John? It looks exactly like what happened in the first half the other way around. The same place on the field. The big play was made now this time by the Edmonton Eskimos. They've got the football. They've got the field position. We'll just take a look at it right here. It's that same little dump pass up the middle right there. Well, he finds number 23, Jones, coming across, and Jones doesn't see the guy coming from behind on the defensive play and knocks the ball out of his hands. Edmonton first down on the 42-yard line.
Moon, lots of time to throw. Now, he's in trouble. Moon getting it away for Santucci, and Santucci manages to save about 5 yards. Larry Crawford, the tackle on Santucci there.
Again, we're going to see the niftiness of Warren Moon here. Santucci makes a nice block there on Clausen, turns him to the inside, but Clausen persistently stays after him, gets a hold of his toe, knocks him off balance, but as he's falling, he gets the ball out to Angelo Santucci. You know, when you got Santucci and Lumps in the backfield, you have got a lot of speed and a lot of breakaway running, so you better be throwing the football.
Stock is in for Santucci now. Moon on 2nd and 5. Can't find anyone open. He's short. Back to the line of scrimmage is all Warren Moon can manage that time. Jonathan Craver, the tackle. Costly miscue.
Well, Jackie Parker on the sidelines there is shaking his head and saying, boy, anytime I ever had that much time as a quarterback to throw the football, one of those receivers was going to come back and help me out a little bit. And that's exactly what didn't happen with those great experienced receivers. They didn't come back and help him out, and the BC coverage was just great, and he ended up eating the football.
Dave Cutler from the 45-yard line. He has been responsible for all Eskimo points this afternoon. Paul Hickey is rolling. Cutler on targets. 4 for 4. Dave Cutler. The Lions now lead 21-12. A 45-yard field goal by Dave Cutler.
I'll tell you, if Cutler keeps this up, he's going to have to deserve some consideration for the offensive players. You see Jackie Parker there talking to Moon. I know what he's telling them. He's saying, look, we're going to get those receivers to come back and give you some help. You've got plenty of time to throw the football, but there was no one open.
Sammy Green heads to the far side. Dale Pollard, number 30 is there. And a flag is down.
Well, the only thing I can see that may have been at that position was a face mask, but it could have been a clip also. The pointing is to Edmonton, though, and it looks like it could be a face mask.
Eskimos got caught for face masking earlier in this contest. We'll hear from referee John Ireland.
Major foul, face mask, Edmonton number 28.
That's Gary Hayes again grabbing the face mask. That's the second time
for Hayes.
Right.
So look where the BC Lions are now with a first down at the Eskimo 52.5.
Gary Hayes has been a good player for the Edmonton Eskimos, but those are two big mistakes that he's made, those face masks. If you grab a hold of that thing, you've got to be able to feel it.
Sammy Green, perhaps cramping up a little bit. Doesn't appear to be too seriously injured. He gets to the sidelines. The Lions with a first down. Eskimos had an excellent chance to gain on BC. They managed just a field goal from Dave Cutler 45 yards away. Now the Lions move into Eskimo territory with a first down. Larry Jones. And Jones will have the first down. Tom Tuine bringing him down. That play a little bit slow to develop.
DeWalt has shown some poise here all afternoon. He's using his eyes. He's looking downfield, and I like the looks of this Jones. I'll tell you, he's got some great moves, and he's got some leg strength to break tackles. And I think as the season progresses with he and John Henry Johnson, that ought to be a pretty good combination in that backfield.
John Henry White, you mean?
John Henry Johnson. I wanted to call him that all afternoon. You're right, John Henry White. John Henry Johnson could play a little bit too.
John Henry White back for the Lions for the first game in 3. And they consider him just an outstanding blocker. One of the problems the Lions offense was having was moving the football along the ground. They had more success today than they have in the past couple of weeks now with White back.
I think the comparison could well be White is as important to that BC backfield as Germany is to that Edmonton backfield. We see without Germany, they're not that effective in the backfield.
This is Larry Jones again. Jones, the first down, and a couple to spare. Mike McLeod made the tackle.
This very well could be one of the shortest passes in the history of football here. He throws the ball about 1.5 yards, but this guy knows what to do with it when he gets it, and watch him go. And they're moving the football, and this is the thing that the BC Lions have to do if they're going to beat the Edmonton Eskimos. Not rest on their laurels, play some defense, play some field position, and move that football offensively.
A gain of 17 yards, not much for Jackie Parker to smile about. But the Lions are now at the Eskimo 25. This is John Henry White.
You know something, Roy DeWalt is really coming of age as a quarterback. This afternoon, he's been very patient in what he's done. He got them out into a big lead, but then he's kept them in the ball game, and he's varying his plays now, throwing the little short pass, running the draw play when they're coming on the pass rush, doing what he has to do to move that football, and all the time knowing that he's got great field position.
First down, Eskimos, or Lions from the Eskimo 14. This is Sammy Green. Potter was there, number 30 for Edmonton.
The story of this drive has been hitting those guys up the middle on those real short passes and getting underneath the dropping linebackers and letting speed and agility and brilliance just move that football up the field. As we see Phillip come in now for Towns, who's coming out. They get that extra defensive back in there with Phillips now.
2nd and 9, Lions. Right off in trouble, James Parker. So it'll be 3rd down, and Lou Pasaglia will come in.
Well, that's all right as far as BC is concerned. Now, if they get their 3 points here, they've accomplished something. Their key is staying even with Edmonton. Edmonton went down the other end and got 3. In order to stay ahead and keep the Bulls, they got to at least match that 3.
9:54 to play, 3rd quarter. Bisaglia. From the 24. He hasn't missed all day either. Bisaglia adds to the Lion total. It makes it 24-12. BC leading the Edmonton Eskimos. Here with CFL football from CBC Television Sports in Vancouver.
Meet the new American heroes.
Look at that.
They've set their sights on the worst kind of criminals, and they're right on target. The young warriors. By day, they're students in a system with too many rules. But after dark, they go beyond the rules. The young warriors. The ultimate weapon in the fight against crime.
Now playing at a Canadian Odeon theater near you. Consult your local listings.
Don't just think about it. Do it, do it, do it. Do it with a friend and you both can bend. Do it for your muscles, it'll make them hustle. Do it for your feet, it's kind of neat. Do it with some action, participation. Don't just think about it. Do it, do it, do it. Participation. Get with the action. Do it, do it, do it.
Be with us next weekend at CBC Television Sports for 3 games from Canadian football. Viewers in Manitoba and Northern Ontario can catch the first meeting between Brock and Clements, Winnipeg, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats Saturday. Following that, Manitoba viewers then join the national network for Ottawa at Saskatchewan. Then on Sunday, Toronto and Montreal from Olympic Stadium, and lots of great action ahead from the CFL on CBC. First down, Eskimos. Moon to the far side. Tommy Scott should have a first down.
I'll tell you, Bird wasn't far off of him that time, and that ball had to be perfect, or Bird could have stepped in front of him. You'll see Warren go back here. Scott breaks to the outside. You'll see number 10, Bird, coming up there, and that ball has to be thrown perfectly. If it's a little bit off target, Bird may be in a position to intercept it.
Perfect pattern for Scott as well. He has the first down and 10 yards even.
Old 9:07 left in this third quarter. Moon is still taking his time, knowing that he's got plenty of time.
Not that time. Mac Moore, 78 for the Lions, through on top of Warren Moon.
Well, I think for the last 3 or 4 games, Mac Moore has been the big rusher in there and making the big plays. I was saying that Warren had plenty of time, and he's looking downfield right here, but the rush comes from up the middle. That's the quickest way to get to you, and it's in your face before you know it, and he's driving those offensive linemen right back into you, and there's no place to go.
Loss of 3 yards for Moon. It's 2nd and 13. The Eskimos now back at their 42. More heat. On target for Marco Sincar, still standing. He has the first down to the 45 of BC. Kerry Parker finally dragging Sincar down. Big play.
I've always liked Sincar. I talked with him before the game. Actually, I've never seen him out of uniform, and I didn't know for sure who he was. Went up and struck up a conversation with him, and he's glad to be back in there playing a lot more this year. Comes across the middle, catches the football, and gets a big first down here.
23-yard pickup for the Eskimos. Now with a first down at the BC 46. Lumsden away from the first wave of tacklers. Good efforts by the big fullback, Tyrone Cruz. He's the first to get a good hold of Lumsden.
Picks up pretty close to 7 yards, a little bit over 6 yards, I guess, on the play.
Cutler ready.
A good choice of plays.
Maybe he doesn't have great confidence in the Eskimo offense at this stage.
Now, he just wants to get another field goal, that's all. This guy has been a great, great performer.
He's ready all the time. Moon for Scott. And another first down inside the 25. Andre Jones, the tackler.
Boy, I'll tell you, Warren Moon has got to be one of the premier quarterbacks of all time as far as I'm concerned in Canadian football. He stands in there and just looks the field over, and then at the last minute, it's just like a flick of the wrist out here to Tommy Scott, and it was a long throw. The got it in there and got that big first down.
A gain of 16 yards. Another Eskimo first down. Boone from the BC 23. Time to throw. Scott at the 5.
Was that any good? Just like it had eyes.
The Eskimos have not scored a touchdown all afternoon. They are now first and goal to go at the BC 5.
Moon just rolled out to his left. And I'll tell you, it's always difficult to cover a guy coming back to the right when the quarterback is going to his left because you're running against the grain in your coverage. But it's also difficult to run to your left and get the ball back in there with that kind of accuracy. Just a great throw by Warren Moon. He'll score himself. The Warren Moon touchdown scamper from 5 yards away silences a very noisy crowd at BC Place. Well, they tried their darndest right there to confound the offense, but Warren took the ball here, started out to his left, didn't see anybody open, had pretty good protection there, came back to his right, and Clausen, number 60, made the fatal error. He's the chase man on that play, and you've got to get to the depth of the football and not allow that quarterback to come back. And he allowed himself to take a 45-degree angle and allowed Warren to come back to the outside to win the touchdown.
Cutler adds one more, and the BC Lions are giving a little ground to the Edmonton Eskimos. Still 5 minutes, 33 seconds to play in the third quarter. Don't go away. We move to the final week of Major League Baseball. 2 games on CBC Television Sports next week. Wednesday, the Expos and the Cardinals from St. Louis. Saturday, the Expos and the Mets. The miracle for the Expos didn't quite work out this time. We'll have more baseball action ahead on CBC.
You see Moon in the end of this play coming back to his right, and as I pointed out, number 60, Clausen, he's got to get, when that quarterback goes away from him, he's got to get to the depth of the football and not allow anything to come back in his direction. And he took a 45-degree angle, allowed Moon to get to the outside, and there was nobody left.
Warren Moon's running ability, a big part of the Eskimos' offense this afternoon, as Edmonton moves within 6 points of the line. This is Larry Crawford, and he's been outstanding on kickoff returns. Tom Tuney leading the Eskimo tacklers that time. Don Matthews a little concerned at the far side of the field. He knew a 21-9 lead at halftime would likely not stand up.
Well, he's got a ring on almost every finger to attest to the fact that Warren Moon played some awfully good football when he was in Edmonton, so he's not underestimating him at all. Little bootleg action here by DeWalt. Decides to keep the ball, but they penetrate. And the ball came loose, and it looks like Edmonton's got it, John.
James Parker has been outstanding all afternoon for the Eskimos. David Boone on the fumble recovery. So now 2 turnovers for the Eskimos in the second half. You'll see again. Boone was there for the recovery. James Parker, number 40, and number 66, James Hunter, supplying the pressure for Roy DeWalt. The turnover gives the Eskimos a first down at the BC 33. Neil Lumsden. Maybe 5 yards. Tyrone Cruz, number 50. The tackle on Lumsden. David Boone, man of the moment in the Eskimo defensive structure for a fumble recovery.
Now, Warren's getting a little pressure on him right now. Those orange jerseys are getting a little bit excited in there. They want to get at him. Clausen again allows him to step to the outside, though. Lumsden catches the ball for a 4-yard gain.
Moon long for Scott. And Scott very closely covered.
I'm impressed with the BC coverage this afternoon because Moon has had some time, and normally when he has that kind of time, he can get somebody open. But time after time, he's had plenty of time to throw the football. There was just the coverage was there.
On the afternoon, Moon has turned things around after a slow start with 2 interceptions in his first 3 passes. He now stands at 16 completions in 32 attempts for 258 yards. Dave Cutler from 36 yards away. And Cutler makes it look easy once more. So the BC Lions, with once a commanding lead, have watched it dwindle substantially in the second half of BC Place. Lots more ahead from CBC's Television Sports. On the sidelines, obviously satisfied with his second half performance. He has the Eskimos within 2 points of the BC Lions. It's looking a little brighter for Jackie Parker. Short kickoff by Cutler this time. Glenn Leonhard on the kickoff return. Not a great deal of speed, but he got the job done and has the Lions in pretty good field position.
No, but at about 6'5" and about 260, he's got a lot of power. 6'4", 255. Well, this has turned out to be just exactly what we thought it would be early in the ball game, a close, hard-fought game. The BC Lions now have got to show their mettle. At midfield, they've got to move this football, at least come out with a field goal.
On first down, John Henry White. Met by Leon Lescavage, 61. Attendance this afternoon, 52,430.
I like DeWalt's attitude in this football game. I watch him in the huddle there. He's in there and he's clapping his hands and he's talking to his players and he's changing his plays around. He looks like he has confidence, and that's something a lot of people felt that he's lacked.
Right now, DeWalt faces 2nd and 8. Has to get out of there. Away from Kepley. And a big first down for the BC Lions. Kepley missing on Roy DeWalt. I thought he had him lined up.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, when you get away from Kepley in the open field, you're doing something. DeWalt is doing about the same thing that our friend Warren Moon is doing for Edmonton, and that's taking his best shot with his best runners and his best pass receivers, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to get it myself, as you see him go get it right here. And he got away from Kepley there and picked up a block by John Henry White and gets himself an all-important first down and, more importantly, field position.
The Eskimo 47. First down. DeWalt, time to set up. Another first down. Sammy Green in the grasp of Larry Highbaugh. Good pattern by Green.
Green goes down and just stops right at the flag for the first down yardage. Turns around, makes a little curl, and he drives it in there to him and hits him right on the numbers. Makes the first down.
They're going to measure for it now, Leo.
Maybe they're not going to make it the first down. Don't make a liar out of me here, please. Be a first down.
I thought it was a first down from the indication of the marker on the near side of the field. But that is the unofficial mark. So when they brought the chain gang across to the far side, the indication is slightly short.
Those officials will do anything to make me look bad. They've been doing that for years.
Less than a yard to go for the Lions, however. 2 receivers out. Chapdelaine, 71, and 35, Sammy Green. The heavier guys come in. 1 minute, 59 seconds to play. Third quarter. Lions, 24. Eskimos, 22.
You can see that Edmonton team now talking amongst themselves and saying, boy, anything they get, they're going to earn. Let's go get them.
2nd and short, and DeWalt, with no flags down, should have enough for the first down.
Oh, I believe he got it, but boy, I'll tell you one thing. They piled it up there in the middle. So far, this has been about as good a football game as you want to see any place. Very responsive crowd.
It's fun to watch football in BC Place. There's no question about it. You've got tickets for the Grey Cup November 27th. You're going to have a great time.
You know, this building covers an area of 10 acres with a maximum of 623 feet, maximum length of 760 feet, and there's the first down shown by the official there. Just a lot of room, and the reason it's so big is because it houses the biggest football field in any kind of a stadium such as this. The ones in the States have that smaller football field.
Another interesting note, Leo, $5 million in tickets were sold in this building during the month of August. That included 2 Eskimo football games, some North American Soccer League action, and 2 rock concerts.
That's more than Don Whitman made last month.
Sammy Green comes up with a couple of yards. Dan Kepley taking the feet out from under Green that time. But $5 million in a month, tickets sales generated inside this building. It may pay for itself.
That is amazing, isn't it? Did you hear that Whitman and Lancaster thrown off on me last night? No, they're doing that because they were struggling without them.
Sometimes they struggle with you.
No, I struggle with them.
2nd and 8 for DeWalt. Can't catch the intended receiver. There was pressure.
I think that was Phillip that came from the outside. Looks like he hurt himself a little bit on that blitz. But he came flying.
Jerry Phillip, number 7 in his 2nd game as an Eskimo.
Phillip is a York University boy out of Toronto.
5'8", 165 pounds, so he fits in well with that rather small-sized secondary the Eskimos have been employing since the injury to Ed Jones. Phillip and Emilio Frietta have been added, and when they go to 6-backs, both of them are in there to join Larry Highbaugh.
Well, that's Phillip just going in the ball game right now, so that is Gary Hayes who went down on the outside, number 20. Who was that? 28 was it when he went down? Yeah, it is Gary Hayes. We can't see his number, but Mo Simovic, our spotter, assures us, and he's very seldom wrong.
Except that time. Gary Hayes, the injured Eskimo.
Boy, they can ill afford to lose Gary Hayes after losing Ed Jones. That would be, well, Gary's up and he's tough.
45 seconds to play, 3rd quarter. Lions in the lead by 2, 24-22 on the Edmonton Eskimos. And it's 3rd down here. Lou Pasaglia. He hasn't missed all afternoon. This from 41 yards away. Pasaglia, a very big part of the Lions' success here today in field goals and in punting. This one tipped slightly wide. Highbaugh gives up the single point, so now the Lions 25, the Eskimos 22, and the Eskimos are looking for field position. Looking ahead to Week 13 in Canadian football, Winnipeg and Hamilton, Ottawa and Saskatchewan. Those are Saturday games. The Winnipeg-Hamilton game regionally on CBC television. Ottawa and Saskatchewan on CBC nationally. Then on Sunday, Toronto at Montreal from CBC. The other game next weekend is a big one for the Edmonton Eskimos and the Calgary Stampeders from Commonwealth Stadium. First down, 10 to go from the 35 for the Eskimos. Moon, big trouble, Santucci. Moon threw for Santucci. It bounced once. Glenn Jackson applying the pressure to Moon that time.
I asked Jackson before the game, I said, are you going to do much blitzing? He said, no. He said, we've got a defense conceived. We're not going to do much blitzing unless we have to. He said, if you see me coming from the outside, you know that we're going to do some extra things. And that's what we saw.
After 3 quarters, the Lions lead by 3. 1,000 fans on hand at BC Place for what we said at the beginning was the most important game of the season for the Edmonton Eskimos and the BC Lions. Well, they've treated it just that way because heading into the final quarter, just 3 points separate 2 great football teams. Lions 25, Eskimos 22. After some jitters in the opening quarter, the Eskimos turned things around, particularly in the second half.
Well, anytime you see 2 coaches before a football game underplay the game, you know it's got to be important. And Parker and Matthews were both underplaying it as much as to say, well, this isn't the most important thing. We could still lose, but you know, when they start doing that, you know how both of them want to win it.
Don Matthews In our news conference with him yesterday, said if both teams play as well as they can, the kickers will decide this game, and late in the contest. We may just see it. First down for the Eskimos. Make that second down.
So far, the kickers have done some deciding already.
Eskimos from their 35 on second. Warren Moon for Tommy Scott. He has a first down. Near midfield in front of Melvin Bird.
Boy, he can really get it done. He just goes back there. The rush comes on the outside a little bit. Watch him step back up in the pocket like a quarterback will do, right in there, and then just shove it right down the throat. I mean, you just put it on the numbers, and that's what you call execution.
The pickup, 17 yards. The Eskimos at their own 52.5. And Lumsden has been running hard all day. Mac Moore stopping Lumsden after a gain of close to 5.
Lumsden's got a great ability to get in those open spots, and when you think you got him tackled is when he's got great leg strength, and he gets those extra yards. And you can recall, John, in past Grey Cups and things, when they really needed it, Lumsden was the guy that came through and got it for them.
Canadian player of the game in the 1981 Grey Cup, Neil Lumsden. Second. Just over 5 to go for the Eskimos. Going over the middle for Lumsden once more. Another first down. Lumsden to the 38. Nelson Martin.
Neil was on the right side there, and he looked like he was just going to step up and block, and he just checked out right down the middle into the open spot. Warren Moon found him.
A gain of 15 yards. Moon on the afternoon. 18 completions and 35 attempts for 282 yards. The 2 interceptions came in the opening quarter. Moon looking long on first down. Waddell Smith, the intended receiver. A flag is down. Parker possibly screening on the play.
Yeah, I think they're going to call it face guarding. Waddell went to the sideline and turned it up the field, and Warren undershot it a little bit because I think Waddell could have got out from under it if he would have thrown it 10 yards deeper. We'll see it right here. He goes back. Boy, the fans here don't like that call, but you can see it right there. You can't have your back turned to the quarterback with your hands up in the air. That's face guarding all the way.
The Eskimos with a first down and goal to go at the BC 5-yard line. When they got this close earlier in the second half, Warren Moon took it himself.
In a case like this, Warren Moon has got to know that they're going to give him a lot of hassle, a lot of hollering. He should have called it on the first sound down here. And there goes Neil Lumsden. He's piling his way toward that end zone.
Good run by Lumsden because he appeared to be stopped right at the line of scrimmage and scrambled forth for close to 4.
I was really surprised on that play, though, that Warren Moon didn't get in the huddle and anticipate what the crowd was going to do and just tell that huddle, listen, we're going to get a lot of static out there, so we're going to go on the first sound, and this is the play.
It is now second down. Goal to go Eskimos at the BC 1-yard line. I think the crowd will get rather noisy here when Moon brings the offense out over the ball. Touchdown! Neil Lumsden.
Well, this has been a fantastic comeback for this football team. And when you got a guy engineering your football team that's wearing number 1 and his name is Warren Moon, you're never out of a football game.
An impressive drive by the Eskimos. They have the lead for the very first time. Eskimos 29, the BC Lions 25. We've got a timeout at BC Place, but don't go away. There's lots more ahead from CBC Television Sports.
Fourth quarter. Now the shoe's on the other foot, and DeWalt has got to make something out of this, and he does.
So it's first down for the Lions at the Eskimo 50 now. Pressure on DeWalt.
Better and better all the time. But I think Matthews is right. You got to play him.
2nd and 10 for DeWalt. John Pankratz, he has the first down. Flags are down. Potter tipped that pass.
I like it. That's the good call.
Another Lion first down. DeWalt looks for the end zone for Fernandez. Joe Holliman.
Excellent coverage by Holland. That they've been so successful down the middle.
Charges on, DeWalt unloads in a hurry.
It was Notre Dame. It was good to see him come through for that football team.
38 yards away, and Luther Saglia comes through for the Lions. So, just 1 point separating two great football teams and almost 9 minutes of football left from BC Place, CBC.
Well, the BC Lions have got to get him stopped right here, and on the other side of the ledger, the Edmonton Eskimos have got to move the football.
They lead by a single point. Stout is in. Number 33. He lost the ball. Another turnover. Rick Klassen.
Game 7:58-57. They're taking the football right now at midfield, and this is a crucial drive as far as the BC Lions are concerned. They're all out blitzed by the Edmonton Eskimos.
2nd and a bundle to go for the Lions. They need 16 for a first down. John Henry White, good opening. Saglia across his 40 to get it away. Very nearly blocked. First down Eskimos from their 35. Moon for Brian Kelly. A first down. Another Eskimo first down. Lumsden, the intended receiver.
17.
Big pressure on Moon. That's Jackson. On the run.
3 left in the ball game.
Neil Lumsden.
He's your neighbor back home, isn't he, John?
Lives right across the way, as a matter of fact. Moon. Waddell Smith can't hang on. He's wide that time. Larry Crawford out to behind them, but they begin from their 11-yard line. Time for the Waltz. Now the pressure on the Waltz. Joe Holliman, just one man back.
I just wonder in a situation like that whether you'd take a safety and pick off.
Now Hayes drops back with Holliman. By 1 point, 2:46 to play, fourth quarter. Tommy Scott. And Moon has to hurry at Brian Kelly. 9:28.
He boomed that one, but it's going to be catchable, and he's going to have a return on.
There's Larry Crawford. There, 32. For Pankratz. And you got Fernandez in that offensive structure of things. Long pass this time. Green, the intended receiver, high ball.
Going to be going for it on 3rd down if they don't make it now.
Go out, pressure once more. Fernandez, outstanding catch. Mike McLeod, Gamble. How about that? John Henry White makes. John Henry White away. A flag is down. The field goal through. A flag is down.
Well, I'm going to bet you that that flag is on Edmonton.
How about that? It's against the BC Lions.
And the call, illegal substitution. Holy mackerel. Well, Donnie Matthews has resigned to the call, so it must be something that's with the substitution.
The flag went down as soon as the ball was snapped. The game-winning field goal called back.
Too many men. BC. Third down repeated.
They must have had 13 players on the field if we can get another look at that and count them off.
Does he hit it? It's through.
All right, I'll say.
For Brian Kelly, 30 seconds. Another first down. 22 seconds on the clock. 22. Boom. Incredible. 6 seconds. Will they get a playoff? 4, 3. I don't know what's happening. Flags are down. Boone is scrambling. He's run out of time. Mac Moore. Now Don Matthews signals victory. The Eskimos extremely slow.
Penalty against the BC Lions from the reaction of Crawford on the field and from the reaction of some of the Edmonton players.
Now this game cannot end on a penalty. Holding against the BC Lions.
And that gives them the field position. That gives them the field position to kick the football. This is incredible, and it's a heartbreaker as far as the BC Lions are concerned.
Well, hang on now. The Eskimos still have to get Cutler onto the field to try it, but Cutler is out there now. Holding was the call for referee John Ireland. Against the BC Lions, he marches it off now. Heartbreak. Absolute heartbreak for the Lions.
Well, the toughest job of the whole day might be those officials getting off the field. That takes a lot of courage.
First down.
He missed it. Dave Cutler missed it.
Boy, I'll tell you.
Has his BC Lions at 8-3, the best record in the Western Division of Canadian football. Heartbreak for Cutler and the Eskimos, but it was a grand game at BC Place today. We'll be back for a final recap right after this. Well, it's a little quieter now at BC Place, but there's the story. The BC Lions 31-30 victors over the Edmonton Eskimos. That drops the Eskimos into a tie for third spot with the Calgary Stampeders in the Western Division, and it gives the BC Lions a 2-point advantage on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who won their game yesterday. Lots of drama and lots of excitement for Don Matthews, his 8th win of the season for the BC Lions, and he's standing by on the sidelines with his kicker, Lou Pasaglia. Don, your thoughts in the final couple of seconds there. I know it's hard to hear.
I really can't hear you.
Just give us your thoughts about the final second.
Well,
can you hear him?
Yeah, I hear him, Louis.
I don't hear him.
The thing that happened in those final seconds when we were kicking that field goal, you know, we practiced those precious situations, and I really don't know how many other guys that I would like to go into that situation with other than Lou Pasaglia right here, because, boy, he's a good kicker, and I'm just delighted with the great team effort.
Donnie, yesterday you said that this game could come down to one thing, and that's the kicking game, and how prophetic that turned out.
Well, you know, there's two pretty darn good football teams. We know that, and the one thing that I said that didn't come true was that I hoped that it was Louis trying to kick at the end, but it ended up being Dave Cutler. I wish he'd have never got in that position. I might live a little bit longer.
Lou Pasaglia, a quick thought. What was running through your mind as you kicked the game winner?
Well, prior to that, I was hoping the offense would give us a good field position so I could redeem myself, and they did a great job. The team did a great job. And all I was thinking about was hit the ball as hard as I could, because I really didn't hit the one I missed, and I was lucky enough to get a good snap and a good hold, and it went through.
Well, Lou, making that first kick and then having that penalty come down on you and having to step back and kick it again, it doesn't happen very often that a guy can come through in that second time around, but you did, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Outstanding football afternoon from BC Place. Congratulations to Lou Pasaglia and Don Matthews. Thank you, gentlemen. I know it's been difficult on the sidelines talking with us, but I know you'll have a pretty good celebration after your 8th victory of the season. To the Lions, first place by 2 points in the Western Division of the CFL. The result of a 31-30 victory over the Edmonton Eskimos. Leo, a great football game.
If there's a better game, I've never seen one, and I think, you know, both teams deserve to win. And I really felt bad for Cutler, who's been such a great kicker for the Edmonton Eskimos. He kicked that ball when he saw it wasn't going to be any good. He made an about face and just headed right for the locker room, and that was a sad way to see him go out, because he's won so many games.
Rick Klassen on the sidelines now. And you had an outstanding afternoon, young man.
Okay, thank you very much. I thought our defense played very well in the first half. In the second half, I think Warren and their offense really started moving the ball, and our offense came up with a big play at the end of the game, and it was a heck of a ball game.
I thought you played outstanding throughout the whole game. Several times there you went in and made contact and then went to the outside and got to the quarterback. But let me ask you one question. On that touchdown by Warren Moon, when he came back to that side, did you have the contain on that?
Yeah, I did. I took a chance. I went inside and lost. And Warren's a heck of a football player, great quarterback, and he made a nice play on it. And he saw I wasn't there to contain it, and he ran it in for a touchdown.
Well, let me tell you one thing. You made up for it throughout the afternoon. You just had a great afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Rick Klassen, Carling O'Keefe Defensive Game Star of this afternoon at BC Place in Vancouver. And the Lions certainly excited about the fact that they now hold the advantage in the Western Division of Canadian football. Had the Eskimos won today, Leo, we talked about it at the very beginning of the game, there would have been a 3-way tie for top spot in the Western Division. So now the Lions are out front.
I feel disheveled after this football game. I'll tell you, that was a great football game. And the thing that I really got a kick out of was that the BC Lions finally have overcome a lot of people's anticipation that they're going to fall when the going gets tough. And I thought that DeWalt did a fantastic job on numerous occasions of improving field position, taking that football team down in a position where it made it real tough on Edmonton. But then Warren Moon, boy, you just can't give him 30 seconds and expect not to get a kick at the cat.
Well, he had a kick at the cat. Dave Cutler just wide, and the Lions were victorious over Edmonton this afternoon. Now, let's look for the catch that set up the winning field goal this afternoon. Roy DeWalt, great all afternoon.
DeWalt goes back and he'll hit Fernandez coming across the middle right here. And Fernandez just absolutely takes the ball away from the defender. And when he gets the ball, he knows what to do with it. He starts down the field. And in a case like this, a lot of times you'll see that guy pull the ball too loose. But he's got two hands on it right now, gets the big gain, and gets in a position to kick this football.
Now the game winner.
Well, it was a bad snap, too. It was a high snap.
Now that was forced back another 10 yards with the Lions penalized just prior to that, and Pasaglia made 2 in a row, the second one counting, of course, and the Lions onto a 1-point victory over the Edmonton Eskimos. I don't think we could have asked for any more drama, excitement, or fun from a football afternoon. We set it up at the outset this afternoon saying we were expecting a great football game. That's exactly what we got. 2 outstanding defenses and 2 great offenses.
Well, again, I want to say that the BC Lions have been the butt of a lot of criticism in the past. And, you know, I asked DeWalt before the game about that midseason slump and things like that. Well, there's no slump this afternoon. They've won it going away.
There's the statistical story from our CompuStats. Look how close it was in just about every category. The Eskimos with 21 first downs compared to 19 for the BC Lions. Yards rushing very close. Total offense, 448 for the Eskimos, 327 for the BC Lions. Turnovers cost the Eskimos dearly in the early going of the game. Trailed by 17-0 at one stage of the game, but battled back and actually took the lead by the time the fourth quarter came around. We looked at the game. It was the BC Lions in the first half, the Edmonton Eskimos in the second, and then the Lions in the fourth quarter.
And what it really boiled down to is Edmonton beat them in the statistical standards, but that 3 turnovers in the first part of the ball game cost them the game, I think. You know, it was just a matter of making the fewest mistakes and getting the football when it counted, and the BC Lions ended up with it.
Another great football weekend ahead from CBC Television. Next weekend, we'll have 3 games from CBC Television Sports. A reminder, Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Hamilton Tiger Cats, Manitoba, Northern Ontario only, the National Network, Ottawa Rough Riders, and the Saskatchewan Rough Riders from Taylor Field. Then, and a final handshake, Jackie Parker and Don Matthews. The final score read 31-30 for the hometown Lions.
CFL 83 has been brought to you by Curling O'Keefe.